Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hi, my name is Mary Abbajay, and I'd like to welcome you to the Friday 15. This is our weekly episode, our weekly broadcast, where we go live on LinkedIn for 15 fast, furious, hopefully fruitful minutes to talk about workplace and career success. Super excited about today's topic, mostly because I live it every day, and that is making mistakes at work, or more precisely, how to recover from making mistakes at work. I seem to be an expert at making them, but I'm still a student and learning how to recover from them. And you know that old expression, to err is human, to forgive is divine. Well, we're going to rephrase that for today's show. And we're going to say to err is human, but to recover is divine. And to help us discover the divinity in recovering from mistakes, I have a very special guest to bring on today. Her name is Cary Hatch. She is an amazing businesswoman. She has 30 years of experience as both in the trenches and in leadership. She is the CEO of MDB Communications, which, by the way, is one of the top, most influential and powerful marketing and advertising agencies in the greater Washington, D.C. area. On top of that, Cary Hatch has also been named one of the region's 100 most powerful people in the greater DMV by the Washington Business Journal. She is amazing. She is smart. She is experienced. She is humble. She is fabulous. And guess what? She's here with us today. So, Cary Hatch, why don't you come on and say hello to everybody?
Hello, Mary. I'm loving the fact that now I'm the subject matter expert on mistakes. Let's
No,
add that.
you are going to be the subject matter expert on recovering. I am clearly the queen of making mistakes because I make them all the time. Like, I don't understand, quite frankly. I wish I did, but I don't understand like people who are perfectionists. That is so far out of my experience. So, Cary, for you, like, where do you fall on the range of being a perfectionist or being okay with mistakes for yourself?
I'm a recovering perfectionist. I try to have some grace around mistakes, but I don't mind telling you, it does make me anxious. I mean, I'm that chick that reviews things 5 times and then I shop it around to make sure other people don't see mistakes.
Yeah, and in your line of work, doing advertising, communication, branding, marketing, like even a small typo is going to be a huge mistake for you. Where if I have a typo in a slide, I don't give a rat's, but like it doesn't matter to me. But for you, that could be a huge deal for a deal killer, right?
Exactly. Well, imagine a call to action on a multi-million-dollar campaign that's off by one digit, one letter. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. All right. So for all of our listeners, if you're there, give us a shout out, say hello to us, say hello to Cary Hatch, and also share with us either your biggest mistakes. We won't tell anybody, or your suggestions or your strategies for overcoming mistakes at work. Because Cary, they do happen. So we got to help people understand the right way to recover and the wrong way. But before we do, I would love it if you could share maybe one mistake you made at work once that really stuck with you, or big learning moment.
I'm glad we had to narrow it down to just in business. So that helped me a bit. But the biggest mistake, and the one I think I learned the most from, and the fact that I still remember it and still hold myself accountable for it is key. I actually responded in a letter to a client in a less than professional way. That may be hard for you to believe since we've known each other, but it was young. I was a young part of my career, early 20s, I would say. But, the backlash was swift. It was fairly severe. And I learned a lot about myself. Stop, drop, and roll before, just like when you're on fire, when you learn as a child in elementary school to stop, drop, and roll, you should do the same thing for yourself when you have a visceral response.
All right, Carrie, I got to ask, what did you do in this layer? Did you like drop some F bombs? Did you was it just rude or was it just,
I would say I stepped outside of the boundaries
oh,
of what was professional. And I mean, no F bombs, nothing, that dramatic.
no Mary Abbajay move, right?
Well, yeah, but No, but it was bad enough that, these many years later, I'm still remembering
You're
it.
still
And
remembering it.
it's learning something about myself that I needed to take note of and bench myself before I have that response.
I love that. So, Carrie, let's talk about like what are some tried and true strategies for recovering from a mistake. Let's say you make a big mistake. We all do it. We all step in it. What should somebody do as soon as they know they have a mistake? Should they confess? Should they fess up to it? Should they wait and see if anyone notices? Like, what's your advice?
Know it, own it, and solve it. Know
Say
it
that
for
again.
what, know it, own it, and solve it.
Love it.
When I say know it, it's you need to take account as to what it really is and what the impact is. Sometimes you recognize immediately what the implications are and what the consequences are. Sometimes you don't know all of those. And then I think it's critical. The timing is
Mm,
critical. It could appear to you to be something small, but may have ramifications to other people, other departments, clients, what have you. So understanding that, own it. Who needs to know about it? How timely can you be in letting people know? And then identify what you can do to help solve it, either within your own purview or others.
I love it. I love it. And I completely agree. I would add a couple of the things. Like when I think about it, I say you got to own it, first of all. You must go assess the damage, right? But you want to own it right away. But I also think you need to apologize for it. But, I think you need to say, like, yo, I did this mistake, Carrie. I am so sorry. Here's how I'm going to fix it. And in order to like make the restitution right, you do have to assess the damage. So I like that you said that. And then you got to move on. But you said something else earlier about taking time to learn about your mistakes. So let's talk about that for a minute.
That takes a fair amount of humility. And
Hmm.
I think it's important to have that. Everyone says, well, everyone makes mistakes. Yes, we do. The question is, do you continually do them? You need to understand that that's not generally a good strategy for career success.
Right.
And you need to take stock in your own behavior as to what it is about you. Was it what I call a garden variety mistake? Is it a typo? Did you not, prove it multiple times, involve other people and what have you? Or is it an error in judgment?
Ah,
Is
good
this
point.
something where, it has bigger implications and, either you were rushed or you didn't think you should involve anyone else? Believe me, even in where I'm at in my career, it's critical to me to have outside opinions.
I love that. So, Carrie, what do you see when people make mistakes? What do you see are the biggest mistakes they make after they make the mistakes? Like what mistakes do they make in their recovery? Like, what's the thing that you see? Like, oh my God, why are you doing it that way?
This is very much a human reaction, but people tend to say, well, I did this, but it's because of this, that, or the other thing, or I didn't have this, or someone didn't give me that. That's not really owning it. That's deflecting it. And they rush through the I did this and spend a lot of time on how this happened. Um,
I so they just Rebecca Cooper, love that one. Yeah, so it's like the yes but, like, you don't really own it if you're going to then deflect it. That doesn't feel good, does it? Which really gets us now to like the importance of knowing how to make a good apology. Because if you only half own it, then your apology chances are going to be only half. So I know you and I have talked about this before, way back in the day on Women Talk. But like I am really, I think I'm the queen of groveling for forgiveness. I am the queen of mea culpaing. I love giving apologies. I don't find anything hard about them. It frustrates the hell out of me that people are, reluctant to apologize because you know what? An apology is free. So let's talk a little bit about like how to make a good apology.
Well, it has to be done in a timely manner. It has to have authenticity. We're in a world where people throw down yellow flags and call BS on stuff. You can't be doing that if you want to be taken seriously in your business career. It has to be genuine. It has to have, I think, at least an opportunity or an attempt at what a solution could be and what that person can do to help.
I agree. I mean, I think great apologies start with I statements. I think, for me, it's like, I am so very sorry. There's no excuse for how this happened. It got away from me. And then I'll either offer a solution, a restitution, or I'll ask them, how can I make this better? Sometimes I'll say, I hope you forgive me. Like, I will literally ask for forgiveness as I'm groveling. And then, I take stock and I move on as well. But, I think for one thing, Robin Goodstein says apologizing is liberating if the apology is done in the way Cary's described. And that's absolutely right. And the thing about apologizing is, if when you make a really good one, a really good mea culpa, I have found that other people are going to let you off the hook much faster. Because if you're already beating up on yourself, most people aren't going to glom on. Do you find that to be true, Cary?
Yeah, people won't pile on. Moreover, your stock will rise because you've humbled yourself, you've acknowledged the situation, you've provided a solution. And then back to beating up on yourself, because I know I fall into that camp, and frankly, many women fall into that camp. You can't continue to beat up on yourself going forward.
I once got that piece of advice from when I was board chair for Leadership Greater Washington. I had made some error in judgment. Remember Maxine Baker, fabulous Maxine
Oh, yeah.
Baker? Hey, Maxine, if you're listening, hey, hey, hey. And I had done something, just stuffed it in some way. And I apologized. And I apologized again. And I apologized like 3 or 4 times. And Maxine said, Mary, stop that. The more you apologize, once or twice is good, but you keep bringing it up, and that's actually de-empowering you. And I thought, oh my God, I think you're right. And I think we women do that very often.
You don't want to be aligned permanently with that mistake. And every time you remind somebody of it, that's what you're doing. And it does devalue your stature.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Rebecca Cooper. Hey, Rebecca Cooper.
Hey,
For those of
Rebecca.
you who remember, Rebecca had the best show on Washington Business Show. It was so missed doing that show. All right, so we agree that you need to apologize. You need to own the mistake and fix it. You need to have a good apology, not a fake apology, an authentic one, but don't over apologize and then move on. All right, Cary, the last area I want to cover the last area I want to cover in recovering from mistakes is, what should leaders do? So I know that you are a leader. You've been a leader for many years. I'm sure your team occasionally makes a mistake. Not Maria, though, because she's my favorite. How should leaders approach mistakes?
Well, first of all, you have to model the behavior you want to see in your team. So you have to have your own sense of humility, your own acknowledgement. That's gaining trust. So I think that to have that atmosphere of trust where you don't set yourself up as being perfect. Not that I have lower standards, Mary, back to those standards. My standards are ridiculously high for myself and frankly for a lot of people on the team. But you have to have that openness for people to feel they can come and apologize. They will do it in a timely way. Otherwise, there's a conversation going on in their head of, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, I'll figure it out and I'll come back 3 days later. Sometimes you don't have 3 days to figure that out. That's number one. I find that I have learned, not because I'm built this way, because I've learned through scar tissue, that I have to stop, drop, and roll myself, listen and assess. Don't have a visceral response. Shut your mouth, listen to the person, be open to what they're saying, acknowledge what they've said to you and the solution they're providing, and reward them for doing it accordingly.
I think that is so correct and absolutely right and inspiring, because I think you're the one that said this to me for, and by the way, I stole it from my Cubicle Confidential podcast, which Courtney will put in the box. If your people aren't making any mistakes, chances are they're not taking on enough risk. They're not really pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. Of course, if they're making too many of the same mistakes, they're being a little sloppy. Now, my team can come on here and they can totally disagree with me because I may be delusional. But, when someone comes with me for a mistake, like, I might be annoyed and I might get snippy, but I really try to move quickly into, okay, that's fine. What are we going to do to solve it? I don't really like to spend a lot of time like, why did this happen? How did you do this? Like, okay, let's fix it and move on. And then I think luckily for my team, I tend to forget things really quickly. So I don't necessarily remember their mistakes.
Well, you don't want to put people in a penalty box forever. And you shouldn't, I mean, how do you get the best out of them going forward if you do,
You,
right?
you don't.
So, but you have to apply that to yourself as well.
I agree. Well, Cary, our 15 minutes, those were fast. Those were
Wow.
furious. I hope they were fruitful for everybody. I want to thank you so much, Cary, because you are such a busy woman. You are such a busy executive. The fact that you came on and shared your wisdom with us for 15 minutes, I am deeply grateful. So to summarize for everybody, make a mistakes. It's human. To err is human. To recover, here's what you do. You own it. What'd you say, Cary? You drop, roll, and
You stop, drop, and roll.
stop, drop, and roll. Own it, apologize, fix it, move on. Leaders, if your team makes mistakes, that's okay. Really sit with them and use it as a growth experience and a learning experience for them and for you. All right, I want to thank all of our listeners. Thanks, Rebecca and Elise, for joining us. And of course, Robin, Kristen, and Courtney. Please tune in next week. Every week at 12 noon here on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure what next week's topic is, but I will be putting it on the my LinkedIn profile soon. Don't forget to tune in to, hey, Danny, thank you so much for showing up today. And of course, don't forget to listen to Cubicle Confidential, the podcast, for more workplace advice. Until then, have a great work week. Be kind, be classy, and be safe.